right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is 5:11. We are waiting on retail numbers right now. So I started a little bit early because I have to actually have a couple of appointments this morning. So I won't be trading this morning. I'm in a couple of positions that I'm going to roll out. But let's talk about retail sales. So last night, if you don't have access to the Patreon group, do yourself a favor, line up for it. GDP came out for China, and they were pretty bad. I mean, it was bad. It was just slow growth. Now, it's China, so what are we expecting? The market still has a lot of headwinds ahead of itself. Okay, Google does announce does a split today. Pretty much, I've been asked this question: is Google done with his 100-point moves? And the answer is yes, absolutely. So is Amazon. Tesla's on the verge there. On a good day, it moves about 30 to 40 points, sometimes 50, both up or down. And if they keep doing splits, then more than likely that's going to just not going to make that happen anymore. So, the thing about what I have to say is that the days of things moving up or down 100 points, 10 points, unless it's the SPX or NDX or something like an index, are pretty much done for the most part, right? Until then this next wave happens, and if you caught those last year, great, but this year I don't think that those days are done. But let's get to what the market is doing right now. And also right now, I said 38.10 was in the XPX. I'm looking at the NQs right now, so we're going to go into the futures market, which is the ES. ES is 38.10 right now. The overnight session right now, we're at 3,800, so slightly 10 points below that. I did say we can probably retest the lows if they're around 37.70, and if that breaks, we'll probably go a little bit lower. But ultimately, what are we looking at here? And the reason I wanted to show you this is that we're in the demand zone here. So there's this funny line. I talked to my group right here. So where's the next level? Is it going to go down or do we go lower? But there is some demand right at these levels of 37.30, 37.20, somewhere in there. I don't know what this is going to produce anymore, but there is a lot more headwinds entering into the marketplace right now. So stay frosty. GDP for China wasn't good. We're looking at retail numbers coming out in about 10 more minutes, maybe 15 more minutes. And we'll see what these guys have to say. The retail numbers, if the retails are good or bad. We expect earnings going into Q3 is going to be dismal and bad. So again, I think that the market's just waiting on this. If we're looking at the E-minis right here, overnight session, I'm just going to go into the 2-minute time frame. We want to see what the China market did. As you can see, this is the China Open, which is roughly around 20 hours. When the GDP numbers came out for China, which is around 23, 22 when the market opened, I think it was like 10 o'clock our time, like Pacific time. I'm all confused. You can see that the market did a sharp rally. So off of this 39.09, 39.10, trying to help you put the pieces together, roughly about 30 points, but it's not too bad. The market is holding, is waiting on retail numbers. If I need to draw supply and demand zone before the market, it's pretty easy, guys. I mean, I know you guys say easy for me. I'm just going to look for the most touches, the most troughs. As you clearly can see, is going to be somewhere in this area, and I'm going to hit this high right here of 38.11. So roughly those numbers did work out: 38.08, 38.11. This is where I get 38.10. I actually use a method called order flow, which in combination with charts and so forth. So we do utilize, I've been kind of adding more order flow into the system. I actually been adding it a long time ago. I'm just kind of introducing it to my group at this moment in time, and we're going to dive a little bit more deeper, giving you a little bit more context at a time that can help create some leveraging possibilities with the beyond charts trading method, which is the 50-day moving average. All right, as far as the bottom, what we're looking at right now, and again, we're looking at a 2-minute time frame. I'm not going to go with this low. I mean, we can, right? And that's 37.94, but that's too low. I'm going to go with this extreme low because it coincides with these lows right here. But I'm just going to go pre-market because I think this is pretty significant, and we're going to have to take measure, especially of that 37.80. So throughout the day, I'm looking at for the market to kind of stay in this range pre-market, and I'm going to know whether or not the market, when retail numbers come out in about 14 minutes, are favorable either reacting positive or reacting negative. So this is a good way for you to understand and know which way the wind will be blowing once the market opens. Now I do have my weighted index. It's an exclusive, not exclusive, but it's a leading indicator that here beyond charts we utilize, and the MACDs obviously. But MACDs right now currently in the 2-minute time frame. If I were to zoom in, because I want to zoom in, is pulling back. As you can tell, we're selling off at the supply zone, and we're probably going to head down into this 37.88 area, more than likely, or at least until this retail numbers come out. We are coming to the end here. Is this going to be an exhaustion sell? If it is an exhaustion, it's probably going to pull us here, or is it going to turn around, linger in this area, and then maybe go a little higher? There's a possibility. If we do break above 38.10, I think 38.50 is going to be a nice little target for us. Now, I don't think we're going to get beyond 38.50, 51. Personally, I think there's too many headwinds, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So now, if we did zoom out here on the 15-minute time frame, yesterday you had all systems go, by the way. If you traded the system, once it hit the 50-day moving average, and I want to point this out, for some reason my video was not recording yesterday, so I was not able to give you the method, the videos that I normally give throughout the day to my group. But basically, as you can tell, once the E-minis hit the 50, it just accelerated and exploded and just like rapidly went up. And that happened right around 13 hours. So that's roughly around 2:15, 2 o'clock, in conjunction with the other time frames that we also utilized. With the MACD also giving you a heads up, we had a flag pattern and robust entry. As you can tell, this coincides with the 50-day moving average in the hourlies, and we're holding steady, but this doesn't mean anything, guys. We're literally waiting on retail numbers, because what I'm noticing right here is pretty simple. It ran up. We have a nice rally, but there's a lot of headwinds, especially right in this area, right in here, and depending on what the retail numbers produce and how they react, we can very easily head back down, okay? Or do we head up to 38.50, which is going to coincide with this area right in here, right? As you can tell, right around this area. So again, that's how I read it. Straightforward. Just go out there, go get it. I'll do my best to kind of, if I'm by my computer, and I think I should be my computer for the most part. I am on the West Coast. I'm dealing with the West Coast at this moment of time. So I believe I'll be here for the open, and then I quickly have to jump in an Uber, head over to the next event hotel. Just removing all these things. That's fine. Well, you get that. As far as the E-minis, and I like to look at it from a different point of view every time. Just kind of telling you, this is the SPX. I actually didn't draw the lines. I usually like to draw boxes. And remember, this is about 6.5 hours of trading in the American markets. I actually like to know where we're at. But we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, and should have 5. But okay. Oh, that's today. But as you can see, the boxes are forming lower. We have some room here to go, which is around 38.50, and that's where I kind of got my levels there. Not really there exactly, but let's look at the overall, where the overall indices are. As you can tell, I mean, we're at a supply level here where buyers did step in. If they don't come in, we can probably retest these levels of 36, somewhere in there. MACDs, if this starts turning and this starts going a little bit lower, then that's probably going to tell us we're probably going to break a little bit lower. However, if this starts bouncing, start going higher, then we can probably stay in this area, which is, I think that will be a positive note if we do that. Same thing with the NASDAQ. Same thing with the Russell. If you've been following the Beyond Charts trading method, you know also that we look for the squeezes, especially in all time frames. So the squeezes are getting really, really close, but that only means, is it going to accelerate or is it going to reverse? We don't know, but we're getting close to something. Overall, we are bearish bias. As you can tell, all the MACDs have been below zero in all these time frames. So again, once again, we'll see if things can be different. If we look at the NQs are just holding, waiting on those retail numbers. Let's look at the VIX. The VIX did climb, and I'm going to draw this as well. The VIX actually, like I said, I just look at the VIX to let me know what range is it in. A couple of days ago, I said, hey, the VIX is in the perfect spot to add puts. Not that we need to look at the overall indices to find out whether we want to buy puts, but just based on implied volatility, based on why we draw these lines in the past, and this is something beyond charts we kind of educate and teach, is that basically when the VIX is low, you could buy puts and get the implied volatility. That's a good little bonus to have in understanding VIX, even though we don't take the trades off the VIX necessarily. The 10-year note, so right now is looking very bullish. If this can continue lower, maybe into this area at 25, maybe, right? Or does it go higher into the 28s? Don't know. As far as the 10-year notes, I like where is it at right now. It's right around 3%. There has been Waller or earlier, one of those Fed governors said that basically 100 basis point is pretty much on the table. Then Waller came out yesterday and said that I think the market's getting ahead of itself because we did sell off on that news. And then we rallied quite nicely off of that. But we do need some sort of good news. I don't really think that this oil thing with Biden, anything's going to come out of it. You know, Pakistani just secure loans. I talked about that in my Patreon loan, but it's actually more inflationary than deflationary. So if you want access to the macro numbers and the data that I give out, like I said, look into joining the Patreon group. I give a lot of inside information. I spend a lot of time on there, giving levels and so forth. As far as this will change for me, I know you guys who have been with me for a long time know the movers are not going to be the movers anymore. Google's going to go down from 225 to about 225. No, it's going to go even lower. So 225 divided by 20, that's going to be the price. Amazon's 110, Tesla 711. So if Tesla can stay above 710 and the S&P above 3810, I think that's going to be favorable. Can Tesla stay above 700? I don't know. Apple squeezing, as you can tell, Apple staying in this range of 148 down to about 144. It's like a $4 move. CMG squeezing, but again, based on retail numbers, I don't think people are going to be paying the $20 burrito that much longer. As far as oil, I don't think oil is going to stay down at these levels. I think that it's not going to give up $100 that easy. It was too easy, and I think that the demand going into the winter months is just going to remain pretty high. The euro dollars at 1-to-1. You know, the oil supplies is crushing their ability over there, amongst other things. Bitcoin, you know, hanging in there, hanging above right now, currently at 19 or 20. I don't really trade Bitcoin. I don't look at it, but it's holding. So that's a plus. If it can hold 20, that's a plus because that's a key area for Bitcoin. And again, that's it. And that's it. UNH announces earnings as well. They come out. I think UNH should do well because during recessionary periods, healthcare does go up. You can back test it. I think UNH will probably do favorable. I have a target at 530. Again, that was a lotto play that I gave out in the chat. And again, lotto. So again, we only risk what we can lose. But it looks pretty favorable. So we'll see, and we'll see. All right, guys, you know, that's all we have for today. I'm going to get ready for retail numbers. I just wanted to make sure to give this out to you. If you like this content, press like, subscribe, join the Patreon group. You know, we have multiple levels there. I'm actually going to start developing a system for beginners because I realized that the method that I have is a little bit more advanced, and as somebody who's a beginner, it can take a little while to get into it. So, but it won't be a day trading system. It'll be more of a stock trading system that you can analyze and see stocks or look at order flow momentum from a longer time period, and kind of give yourself a little bit more time. But if you want to jump into it, you know, the momentum trading system is really good. We do intraday trading. The positive about that is that if you start with a small account and you start really small, you'll get a year worth of education. You'll get about 10 to 20 years of education within a year. The only problem is you probably have to endure a little bit of losses because the biggest obstacle you're going to have is yourself and the way you start thinking about money. Because the main thing is trying to shifting your mindset from a retail investor into an institutional style investor. That's it. Anyway, guys, go out there, stay green, stay frosty. I'll see you guys at the chat, and we'll talk soon. All right, take care, and bye-bye.